All right. Did anyone in their conversation have anything interesting that they feel like they want to share that's on their hearts before we get started? Did anyone learn anything about themselves? Does anyone learn what a new attachment style is? Anxious, avoidant, or secure, disorganized? That's always a fun one. I can't wait to tell you about it. If you know maybe what your attachment style is right now and you're sitting there going, what the heck is Jen talking about? Then let's get started. So I'm Jen Noble. I'm also learning how to use this clicker, so this is going to be fun. So I'm Jen Noble. I am a relationship coach, and I am the author of Dance of Attachment. And what I love doing is talking about attachment styles. And the reason why is because back in 2020, I had dealt with a terrible breakup. I was in a very, very depressed state. One of the worst in my life. Even postpartum depression didn't hit what this was. And it was an unfortunate side effect of going through a divorce at the time and then also a pandemic. Don't put those two things together. They don't go very well. But what was happening to me at that time was I didn't realize was I was just in a spiral of pain. I wasn't showering. I remember at one point in time that I was sitting on the couch. I had a very big addiction to alcohol at the time. It was probably 7 White Claws in. I would sometimes stick some vodka into the White Claw. Listen, it's very good. I just don't recommend it all the time. And I'm eating chocolate like it's my dinner. I'm pretty sure I'm not wearing any pants, and I am just devastated. I am a single mother at this point in time. I don't have any friends that can even come over and help me. I don't know what to do with myself. And so I'm online. I'm Googling how to win my ex back, as every normal woman should. I kid. And I come across a video on attachment styles. I'd never heard of what an attachment style was at the time. And that is when everything started changing for me. She started describing what it was like to have a disorganized attachment style. The push, the pull, the pain, the confusion. And it was like something just made sense. But now, I know what you're all thinking. Jen, it was 2020. None of us were wearing pants. And you're not wrong. But the thing is learning about attachment styles was the one thing that I finally needed to understand why I had been pushing men away in my life my entire life. My husband, my family, my friends. We were having a conversation before. Is this just romantic relationships or is this also friendships? It's all relationships. And that's why this is so important to be learning about. And so where this comes from, it's not just pop psychology, although a lot of people on TikTok and Instagram and stuff like that are going to be talking about it right now. I mean, myself included. But it's based in science. That's what's really fun about this. It's based on psychology. So we've got John Bowlby and Mary Ainsworth. They were the 2 psychologists that originated this idea of attachment theory. John Bowlby kind of thought to himself, wait, how do we connect? Like, why do we all keep messing up? And to be clear, this is like in like the 1950s, so we've been doing this for ages, guys. Like, this has been going on for a while. But John Bowlby, he had this thought process of like, why do we connect this way? And Mary Ainsworth came into it, and she came up with this really cool study called The Strange Situation. You can Google it. You can go on YouTube and look at it. And they took children, and they studied them, and it was this idea of what happens when you remove the parent from the child. So attachment styles isn't just about how you connect, but more so how you repair. Like what happens when the parent comes back in? And that's what they were studying. And that's how they started finding out about the types of attachment stances. And so they originated with just 3: anxious, avoidant, and secure. And then later on, another researcher, as they do, comes along and says, hey, something doesn't make sense here. These kids are like pushing their parents away, but they're also like clinging for them at the same time. What's going on? And then that's how we came up with disorganized attachment. Nope, this way. But the interesting part about all of this is when I started training to teach about attachment styles, I would get in there and I'd be talking to my clients and I'd be like, okay, this is it. We've got anxious and avoidant and disorganized and secure, just like right now. And they'd be like, I'm sorry, what? Like, what are you guys talking about? And because my brain is built in analogies, I started coming up with this idea. Well, relationships are like a dance. And we've all heard that before, right? There's a flow, there's an ebb, there's an ease, or you're stepping on someone's toes. Or, you're so nervous about what's going to happen that he goes to turn you and you go the other way, and next thing you know, you guys are knocking into each other. And it's just like a relationship. And our attachment styles are the exact same way. So I'm going to talk you through, real quick, the 4 attachment styles that we have. And we are going to look at the 3 non-secure attachment stances. Let's see what happens. And the one that we all want in life, the secure attachment or the smooth waltz. We'll see. Okay. Let's it is totally fine. I could do this in my sleep. So what we have are the 3 non-secure attachment stances. These are the ones that affect our relationships. These are the ones that hurt us, cause disconnection, the fights that we have with our husbands, the disagreements that we have with our coworkers, those things that make you feel like, ugh. So the first one, anxious attachment, the salsa of uncertainty. The reason why I call it the salsa of uncertainty is because there is this chronic state of uncertainty in our bodies. So if you are someone that has ever been called clingy or needy, or you're just constantly preoccupied with everyone else around you, that's anxious attachment. And what this looks like is on a dance floor. You know, you want to have a good time, you're out there, you're dancing with your partner, and you're like, yeah, let's do this, except you're constantly staring at his face. Like, you're just like, okay, but do you like me? Are you okay? Are we dancing okay? Like, what's happening here? Like, no? Okay, you want me to move this way? Am I having a good time out on the dance floor doing that? No. I'm not actually in the moment. I'm not present. Thank you, hon. That one, got it. And this is what's happening. They are so preoccupied with their partner that they forget about themselves. Now, I know a lot of us as mothers have that. In fact, research shows that predominantly women are anxiously attached. It's likely just to do with our societal upbringing, the way that we are taught to be as mothers, as women, be there for someone else. People please, mold yourself, shrink yourself. And that's how anxious attachment gets us in trouble, because if you're dancing with someone, you want to be dancing with them because they want to be there with you, not because they're scared of you. And that's what our husbands want. They want us to be there. They want us to love them, not be scared of them. And so one of the things we could be doing, and I'll show us that later, is how we can heal our attachment stance to move towards secure. So the next one is the avoidant attachment. And so if anxious is all about feeling scared and preoccupied, I swear I'm hitting that one. I'm good. Okay. Yeah, sure. Yeah, that works. Also, you guys can just look at me, it's fine. Oh, sorry, hon. Avoidant attachment is the opposite. So if anxious is super preoccupied, they need you, they're clingy, they're like, oh my God, please don't leave me, they have a big abandonment wound. Avoidance, the complete opposite. It's like, please stay away from me, I do not want to deal with this. The avoidant pushes you away. Perfect, thank you, you're good. The avoidant will keep you at arm's reach. This is why I call it the solo tango. Because the interesting part is, if you're out there and you see someone dancing, you ever like been to a dance floor and someone is just out there and they are rocking it? You know, they got their dance moves going on, there's a whole circles formed around them, everyone's like, oh my God, that person knows what they're doing. That's what it's like when you have avoidant attachment. It looks like you have your life together, but you're chronically afraid of being engulfed, of being trapped. And so you keep people at arm's reach. In women, this could look like building your career. Thinking I'm fine, I don't need anyone, I'm good. Have you guys seen that meme? There's like this big piano and like the woman has it on like a rolling chair and she's like pushing it along. She's like, I don't need anyone, right? So that's avoidant attachment. You don't need anyone, that's what you say. Because in childhood, you were taught if you did need someone, you got in trouble, or you weren't loved, or you were neglected. The more you needed, the worse your life became. So in adulthood, you push people away. Now again, research shows this is predominantly men. I think a lot of us probably have men in our lives that are like this. They hide in their man cave or they push you away when they come home from work. Just know that this isn't about us. This is about their own upbringing. This is about their own lived life, their own adapted attachment stance that they had to develop inside of them to stay safe. So now they push us away. And then what do? We cling. Thus, the dance continues. But then we have the fun one, disorganized attachment, or as I call it, the pendulum swing dance. And this is because disorganized attachment is essentially anxious and avoidant put together. This is the one that they found later on down the road when they were like, wait a second, this person does both. So if you feel like you're a little bit of both, there's a high chance that you might have a disorganized attachment style. And disorganized attachment style is mainly just developed through big T trauma. If anyone's familiar with the ACE score, that's just adverse childhood experiences, and that is what that means. So So a lot of times people will be like, oh, look, which one am I? Am I dancing the salsa of uncertainty? Am I a solo tango? Am I a pendulum swing dance? And I was like, well, the number one thing is let's just kind of look at your childhood. If there has been any sort of abuse, mental, physical, sexual, then there's a high chance that your body adapted in a way that didn't feel safe with love, especially if that came from one of your primary caregivers. Because the very person who was supposed to love you also hurt you. So what do you think that's going to do in relationships? When you're out there on the dance floor, if the very person who's supposed to swing you around drops you, why would you ever trust them? Except it's not this partner that did it. It was the partner back here. But you still can't trust them because this happened to you back here. So again, it's not your fault if this is happening. It's not your fault if you pull people in and then push them away. That's just part of disorganized attachment, and there is a way to heal that. But for me, that night, sitting on my couch, pantless, greasy hair, chugging White Claws, I had learned that I had a disorganized attachment style. I had been dancing this dance my entire life. I had been pulling people in, wanting them close, and then as soon as they got close to me, I got scared and I said, ooh, no, please go away. And this confused my husband. This confused my friends. This confused my family. This confused me. And it meant that I lived a life that felt disconnected from everyone, from myself, from others, from community. Even in MOPS, I remember times coming in and wanting to sit down at the table and be vulnerable and share my story. And then as soon as I did, I'd be like, oh my God, why did I say that? I can't come back next week. They're never going to like me again. That's what happens. It's the internal monologue inside of us. And so what we want to do is we want to get to secure attachment. This is the smooth waltz. It's comfortable. It's easy. But not easy in a way where nothing happens. Easy in that kind of way of like, you know, you're stuck in traffic or someone cut you off, but you don't get mad about it anymore. You just kind of like let them go. You give your heart to them. You love them. And it pisses you off sometimes. Maybe he steps on your toes every once in a while, or he doesn't clean up after himself or clean his coffee mug. I don't know why it's so hard. But you're like, you know what, it's okay. I trust him, I trust us. I can communicate that. This is secure attachment. It's so important to remember that secure attachment does not equal perfect. And that's what I really love to talk about when I talk about these things, because there's this rhetoric out there that says secure attachment just means pretty much being detached from everything. That's not true. Secure attachment is about being attached and then being okay. It's about living in alignment with yourself. And one of the key things that we're going to talk about today is how to heal our attachment style. And we do this through resilience. Yeah, that's good. Resilience is the number one thing that we need to have a fulfilling and satisfied life. We can't just be happy. Happiness is fleeting. I'm sure some of us heard this before. Happiness is just a feeling. It's great. It's a good one, but it's not our only one. What we want is satisfied. You're not feeling like you've just had breakfast. You had a good bagel with that yummy pumpkin spice cream cheese that sounds so good, I can't wait to have one. And you feel satisfied. Not like full, not stuffed. You know, you're not hungry. That's that level that we want to get to in our relationships, in our life, just that fulfillment. And we get there through resilience. Resilience is the number one thing we need, research is showing, to feel satisfied, to feel fulfilled. But how do you get it? How do you get resilience? Well, you have to repair. That's interesting. If you have to repair, then you need the resilience. But what are you going to repair? Are you going to repair something that's not broken? No. So you need the rupture. And that's the annoying part nobody ever wants to hear about. Secure attachment is about embracing the rupture, working on the repair, and then building the resilience. And through that resilience in your relationship with your husband, with your partner, with your family, with your friends, it builds your relationship up to get to a place where it doesn't matter what happens. You guys trust in each other, and you trust in yourselves, and you love one another. And that's where we want to go. And how do we get there? Well, we get there through a process that I have developed over time through all of the different modalities I've taken. I've taken somatic experiencing, parts work, CBT, which is cognitive behavioral therapy, DBT as well, dialectical behavioral therapy, all of these different certifications. And I've learned this 5-step method to really heal your attachment style. And the first is just discovering your attachment stance. And that's what we're doing right now. You guys are like 1/5 of the way. You're doing great. You just have to understand what it is. Understand the 4 attachment stances, learn what they all are, start looking inward and figure it out. So let's talk about discovering your attachment stance first. The way that we want to do this is by understanding them each, reflecting on your past relationships, Now, I don't know, many of us here have probably been married for many years. Maybe some of us, like myself, are divorced and remarried. Maybe some of us are just newly married. Congratulations. But what I want you to do is look at your past relationships or in your relationship with your partner now. Maybe you've been together 10, 15, 20 years. What have your patterns been? Do you tend to shut down in a fight? Or do you tend to like cling and be like, no, baby, we have to talk about this right now or else I can't. I just feel like my body's gonna explode. If you shut down, you might be avoidant. If you cling, you might be anxious. And that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna figure that out. And then you wanna look at your childhood. How did your parents treat you? Did they say, hey, really, really great job anytime you got an A or you did really good? But the other times they were like, you could do better. Did your parents teach you that you had to earn your worth in order to be loved? That would be anxious attachment. When you came to your parents and you were sad, did they tell you, go to your room? I don't want to deal with that. Go cry somewhere else. Then you might have an avoidant attachment style. Because what did you learn in that moment as a child? Oh, my emotions are too much for people. I need to shut down. I can't show other people how I feel. And again, oftentimes in life, that's what happens, right? Girls are okay to cry, they're okay to have their big emotions, but they also have to earn their worth, hence anxious. Boys, on the other hand, they start crying, right? I have a son, I know what that's like. I'm out in public and he starts crying and people are like, oh, big boys don't cry. And I'm like, well, just stop with that. Because that's teaching them they're not allowed to show their emotions, which teaches them that they have to pull away as soon as they start having a big one. Again, it's not their fault, just like it's not our fault. It's just how we adapted. And that's how we find our attachment stance. And when we find our attachment stance and we have a really good understanding, so if you're sitting there right now and you're thinking, ooh, I'm definitely anxious. Oh my God, I cannot let him go to sleep because I am constantly fighting with him until we figure this out. Then take a look as we're looking at the rest of them. We're gonna go into the next step, which is alleviate your attachment wounds. An attachment wound is based on your attachment stance, and it's that label that we carry. It's that I am statement. I am not enough. I am unworthy. I am a burden. I am annoying. I am difficult. I am unlovable. I am stupid. I could keep going. These are all just the ones I have. But think about yours. This is how we get clear. We start looking at the wounds that have been inflicted on us and reinforced throughout the years. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not smart enough. I can't do this. Those are the labels that we hold inside of ourselves that prevent us from living that fulfilled life. So when our partner comes home and he doesn't give us a kiss right away or he goes into his office, we're like, oh my God, what did I must have done something wrong. It's my fault. I'm not enough for him. He must have found someone else. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm just stuck at home all the time. I smell like, breast milk all the time. I haven't showered in days and he's not gonna love this anymore. I'm not enough. And that wound then pushes it onto him. So now we're sad, we're anxious, and so we have emotions. He senses our emotions and he's like, whoa, hold up, I can't do this anymore. And he pulls away. And what does that teach our body yet again? Thus the dance continues. If we can get clear on our wounds and we can equilibrate them, which basically just means the opposite. So instead of I am not enough, we find the evidence in the ways that I am enough. So when he comes home, when he goes to his office, we know that's not about us. Wow, he must have had a hard day at work. Wow, what can I do to love on him? What do I need right now that I can communicate with him, but I know I'm enough, so it's okay to do that. Baby, I know you had a hard day at work, but I really just need you to take him off of me for 5 seconds so I can have a shower. You're asking that now from a place of love, from abundance, from joy, from compassion, from fulfillment, not you never do anything around here, take him. Do you feel an energy difference in those? And we get there once we figure out what our wounds are. So we want to alleviate those wounds. We want to find them. We want to find the opposite. I do an entire process of this in my coaching program, and I have it in my book where it's a lot of journal work and it's a lot of work. But you do this, and we do this thing called a somatic affirmation every night before you fall asleep, where you find evidence in your life of where you are that thing. I am worthy. I am enough. I am enough today because by golly, I got out of bed and I fed my son. I got my son to school today before I came here. I'm freaking proud of myself. 5 years ago, I would have done that. I would have been like, I mean, it really isn't that big a deal. I have to get him up anyways. I mean, I didn't make him like the pancakes he likes, so really I'm not good enough. No, that's what holds us down. So we want to work on that. So the next one after that, after we're going to alleviate our wounds, we're going to discover our attachment stance, we're going to alleviate our wounds, we're going to nurture our needs. Research shows that our needs are so important. If you guys are familiar with the Gottmans at all, we have the Gottman Institute, we have John Gottman and his wife, and they do all this research on relationships and couples, and it's really cool. And they found that couples are 7 times more likely to be satisfied in their relationships if they know their needs and can communicate them. We want to get so good at communicating our needs that it's as easy as just saying, hey, can I have a glass of water? Like, would that be okay? And you'd be like, I don't have any. I'd be like, okay, no problem. Because I know where to get water. I had some water. I have water right here. I had water before I got up on the stage. I know where I can get water, and I know where I can find it for later. That's your needs. We want to be able to fill our needs buckets up on our own. Imagine you have a bucket. You guys familiar with like the love bucket concept? There's like that really cute book out there. That's what I love about this. But there's one thing missing in that. We want to fill up our buckets, but sometimes we can't. So I could say, hey, like, can I have some water? That'd be really great. And you're like, yeah, sure. And you start pouring it, except it's leaking out the bottom. So as much as I keep asking for something, hey, baby, can we have a date night? Could you please buy me flowers? Could you get me that piece of jewelry I really love? Could you get me some really cute Christmas presents, please? And then they give it for you, and you're like, oh, it's not exactly how I wanted it. Or I didn't really deserve it. Or why is he doing this? What's he up to? We push it away. We have holes in our buckets. So that stems back to our attachment wounds. We want to plug the holes in our buckets. We want to meet the needs on our own. And then we go to our partner, which is not the way it works. I don't know about you, but back in the day, before I learned about this stuff, I was just obsessed with making sure my needs got met by my husband all the time. Anything I needed. If I was pissed off, it was most likely his fault. But that's not true. It's our responsibility to fill our needs 50% of the way, and then find other sources, like you guys. If you have a high need for emotional connection or community or love, then you get it met here at MomCo. You get it met with your friends. And you fill that bucket up and you love on it. So when you go home, you're filled with joy and compassion and happiness and satisfaction with your family. But we're gonna work hard to be able to receive that. That's really hard for women, is receiving the love, the connection, the communication, all of that stuff comes in. So we're gonna plug our holes, we're gonna fill our buckets, then we are gonna communicate with confidence. This is a 3-step system that I love doing so much. I could come back and just teach on this. I do a lot of times, but it's a 3-step system called regulate, validate, collaborate. If you've ever started a conversation and it's blown up in your face, that is probably because you just want to talk to get your point across, right? But we want to talk, we want to listen to hear them. But how do we hear them if inside of our body, we're on fire, right? He just came home and he was like, oh, really? Dinner's not ready? And your body is like, oh, I am turning into a dragon filled with fire. Do you know what I have dealt with today? So how are you supposed to validate him if inside you're fuming? And science dictates that it's literally impossible not to do this, because when you are triggered, right, when you have a fight or flight response, your prefrontal cortex is completely offline. You have gone into straight lizard brain. Good luck. There's no way. So the very first step we have to do is we have to regulate. Regulation looks like grounding techniques, meditation, walking away. Honestly, ladies, just seriously walk away more often than not. Just be like, I just need 5 minutes, baby. Go to the bathroom, take your shoes off, put your feet on the bathroom floor, sit down on the toilet and breathe. And then remind yourself you love him, you trust in you guys, you trust in yourself, and then you're gonna get back out there and you're gonna validate him. This is the hardest thing you're ever gonna have to do, because validation does not come natural. Validation is not about telling him he's right. It's not, you're right, baby, I should have had dinner ready. That is not validation. Validation is seeing his side of things. The way I explain this a lot is, I don't have a picture of it today, but there's a 6 or a 9 if we were to have it down here. Anyone ever seen this image of a 6 and a 9 and 2 people are like standing on 2 different sides? So you can picture this. There's a big 6 down here. Well, I see a 6. But let's say you're up here and you're on the other side, you see a 9. Well, who's right? Right? Like, I see a 6, she sees a 9. Validation is saying, oh my gosh, I could totally see why you see a 9. You're right. If I was on your side, I would totally see that 9 too. I still see a 6 though. Validation is about holding true to your truth and understanding theirs, which is one of the hardest things right now to do, is to know what your truth is and to allow someone else to have theirs. So if he comes home and he's like, hey, where's dinner? If you trust him and you know him and you love him and you know that he's not like mean, he's not typically like this, then what you're gonna be able to see is like, oh, baby, I can totally see why you're hungry after work and I didn't communicate to you that actually like we're going out tonight. I'm so sorry about that. And also in the future, if you like need to know plans, like go ahead and like text me in advance because my brain is like all over the place. So I'm not gonna be able to remember. You see how I just communicated that as easily as just like asking for a glass of water? Now we're not fighting, we're connecting. So before you even get to collaboration, you have to validate first. People will immediately jump into, well, I just want to tell him how I feel. I want to fix it. I want to, figure all this stuff out. So he comes home, he says the thing, and you're like, baby, I feel hurt when you do that to me because I just feel like you don't love me. I feel like you expect me to do everything around here. Then they come to me in my coaching practice. They're like, but Jen, I use feeling statements. And I was like, no. I said, yes, great job. Feeling statements are good. But what would you rather hear if I was talking to you and I was like, hey, you really hurt my feelings? Or would you rather feel, you know what, I really love it when you let me know what your plans are? We want to collaborate. We want to work towards a solution when we talk to people. We want to be able to say, hey, like, it really would help me out so much if you could just like clean the dishes before we go to bed. Instead of, I feel like you never do anything around the house. A, that's not a feeling statement, but that's again for another talk. And B, it's just not like nice, right? There's no easier way to say that. But before we can collaborate, we have to validate. But before we can validate, we have to regulate. And before we can regulate, we have to understand what our attachment styles are, what our wounds are, and what we need. See how this is kind of all playing together? Because once we get all there, then we get to the best part. We get to the E part of dancing, which is embody secure attachment. Beautiful. It's like you read my mind, Kelly. I love this. Embodying secure attachment just means living it. It's the easiest one of all of these. The hardest ones are before. This is just about now living your life every day, going through the hard stuff, and learning from it. Embodying secure attachment, again, is not perfection. It is just about going through the ruptures, figuring out how can you repair, and then you get to build that beautiful resilience at the end. And that resilience is what fills you up. It's what makes you feel satisfied in life. It's what makes you feel like, oh my gosh, this is worth it. Secure attachment is not perfection. It does not mean your husband comes home and he says something mean to you and you're like, yes, baby, of course, everything's fine. You're not a Stepford wife. I'm not asking for you guys to not feel. Feel deeply. Our feelings are our signposts. They tell us what's important to us. If he comes home and he says something that hurts our feelings, good. How exciting that you now get to have an opportunity to have a conversation with him. And if right now your body is like, no, I do not like having those conversations with him, please, then that's a different thing we want to work on. Somewhere in the relationship, he has stopped feeling safe, you have stopped feeling safe, and you're no longer in a place where you can be doing this. Great. Life is about starting where you are. It's like you're on an ice rink. Some people go ice skating, they're amazing. I've never been that person. But they just put on skates and they're just whooping around, learning how to do flips. I'm putting on my skates and I'm like on the wall, you know what I mean? Like you're just like, okay, let me just take this easy, please no one hit me behind me. It's about meeting yourself where you are. Someone that goes out on that ice skating rink, they're not gonna pull me off with them and say, come on, you can do this. They're gonna meet me where I am. Or they're gonna go off and do their own thing. But it's about being able to see where you are and own that and honor that. And so through this entire process, this is what the dance of attachment is about. It's about understanding your attachment style. It's about learning your attachment wounds, those labels, those I am statements, figuring out the empowering belief behind those and living the truth of that. It's about knowing your needs. Do you need love, connection, help? Do you need any of these things? It's good. It's about communicating. It's about embodying. And then in the end, you get to live a beautiful, smooth waltz. This is me and my husband. You get to have this dance where things are not perfect, I literally like just fought with him the other day. But now we fight and we get to come back to each other and we're like, it's not even really a fight. Not like what I used to have. Whew, my goodness. This is more just like a disagreement. This is more like excuse me, but I really wanted tacos on Thursday, but like you said you were gonna go get steak at the store. What's happening? When we get to those types of ruptures, it's beautiful. It's brilliant. It builds those resilience. But now we're safe and being able to do that. So that is mainly the gist of what I wanted to talk about today with all of you. I think we are good on time, and so I wanted to know if anyone has any questions about the topics that we're talking about today. Yes?
On the secure attachment slide,
Yeah.
both partners are dancing in the secure attachment. So I'm wondering, like, can you have a secure attachment relationship with your husband if he's still anxious to do or something like that?
Great question. I feel like I planted you there. Perfect. Yes. Research. Yeah, so the question was, can there basically be one secure person in a relationship to level up the whole relationship? Am I hearing that correctly?
Like, can it even be a secure
Yeah.
attachment if the other person is avoidant?
Yes. Can you have a secure relationship with one secure partner? Is that kind of what we're asking? And the answer is yes. Research shows that all it takes is one secure person in a relationship to level up the entire relationship to a secure relationship. That's all it takes. So all we have to do on our own part is become secure. If we can become secure, then it levels them out. And here's how this works and why. Because attachment is based on unsafety. Again, it happened in childhood. Our parents treated us, again, to be clear as well, because I know we're all parents, this is not about blame at all. I messed up my son more times than you can count. Like, it's gonna happen. The difference is how you repair. Remember we talked about ruptures? Even in the relationships with our children, it's about repairing, and you build that resilience with your children. It grows and it's beautiful. But some of our parents didn't have that ability to repair with us. And so we just had a lot of ruptures, a lot of tears consistently all the time. And nowadays, maybe you can go and repair with your parent. Some of us don't have that opportunity, so it's gonna be hard. But through that process of all of that learning, there was unsafety. So now in a relationship, if you have two people and they're dancing, like anxious and avoidant, and she's clinging, right? And it's like, please, please, please don't leave me. And he's like, oh God, that's okay. I feel really trapped. I'm gonna back away. You guys are polarizing each other more. It's like a magnet. If you, in this relationship, are just a secure rock, and he comes at you, and you're like, okay, baby, I got you, because it's not about me. It's about his own thing. He comes home and he's like, I've had it. I'm done with work. I'm going to my office. Like, okay, baby, no problem. Because you know you can have this conversation with him when he's not triggered and you feel safe. He's going to come out of his room much faster because he doesn't feel your energy of cling, of neediness, of all of that. And he's going to come back out and you're going to be like, are you good? Oh my God, what happened? Do you want to talk about it? No, I don't want to talk about it. Okay, no problem. Listen, this is good. I made dinner. And then again, this is not about being a doormat, because I always want to be very clear about this. It's a couple days later, you guys are having a good time. Because in a secure state, we don't have to bring things up right away. In a secure state, we can bring it up a week later. Doesn't matter. And we say, oh, hey, remember that time when you came home from work that one time? Like, I was thinking about that, and I don't know, it just didn't feel right in my body. Like, it just made me feel a bit icky. I was wondering, in the future, if you're having a hard day at work, maybe you just give me a heads up or something like that so I can be prepared. Or would it be okay if maybe you don't treat me that way, when you are angry at work? And the goal is he goes, oh yeah, of course, I'm so sorry, babes. And if he doesn't, that's okay. We just, again, meet him where he is on the ice rink, and we go back again. And the cool thing about being secure is that you get to make that choice and decision. But if we're in that relationship, that's our choice. We don't need our husbands. We don't need a partner. We get to choose them. That's our choice every single day. That's our ability to say, yeah, I love you. And if we're with him, we love him. So we're going to meet him where he is, and we're going to be secure. So that way he can kind of bounce around, and he can kind of be pouty, pouty, pouty boy, as they always are. They're so sensitive, I'm telling you. They're much more sensitive than they think they are. And they pout, 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 and they go humph, humph, humph. And you're just like, it's okay, baby. Just, finish your pout and then come back. It's like our toddlers. It's just like having another toddler, except also we love him. What are we going to do? And it's what happens because we love these men for who they are, what they do, and we want them in our lives. And that's okay. And then we get to be secure. So beautiful, beautiful question. Thank you. Any other questions? Yes?
Is it normal to have a different attachment stance towards your husband than it is towards your friends?
Yeah, that's a great question. What happens a lot is the attachment stance towards our romantic partner, towards that one main person in our life, that's our main attachment stance. And then what happens is sometimes in other relationships, other things will start to kind of manifest or kind of explore in your body because you're so this person over here with your husband, if that makes sense. So let's say you're very anxious with him, but maybe you don't text your friends back, right? You're like, I'm busy. There's two things happening there. Either one, you might have a disorganized attachment style. And I'll explain that in 1 second. And meaning you're gonna depend on how you act depending on how they act to you. And then two, it could just be, maybe you're just a little bit more secure with these people over here, with your friends and your family, because they're not as pulling on your nervous system the way your romantic partner does, because this is like your everything, this is your person. Biologically, we are wired to have that person. It's very normal. That's why it fuels us so much. But, and I'm gonna go back to the disorganized attachment. Disorganized attachment tends to lean in the direction that the other person isn't. Let me explain that. If your husband is avoidant, then you will most likely be anxious. So if he's the type that pulls away a lot, then you will most likely be like, oh my God, that abandonment wound is coming up. I need to go and cling to him. But if you have an anxious friend, that friend that's always texting, like, oh my God, you wanna hang out? Oh, we haven't seen each other in 2 hours. Let's hang out again. And you're like, oh my God, girl, seriously, chill out. That's you being avoidant in that moment instead of communicating that you don't like it. And that's only because she's a little bit more anxious. And so that's how that kind of works. So that's why disorganized attachment's quite fun and confusing to a lot of researchers and psychologists, and why it wasn't additionally there, because it's kind of weird and it's confusing. So great question. Did that help answer your question?
Yes.
Beautiful, thank you. Yes, Kelly.
So, I used to pull back, and then because I didn't know what to say in the moment, and one of the best things I learned was to really decide what I was gonna say. So they said you could choose. You could say it seems or I think, and just say that it seems, and then my brain can catch up. But I already know in the moment I'm gonna say it seems, and then I'll figure it out. But I don't know.
I like that. It's like your filler word. It's like when I'm up here talking and I lose my train of thought, I go, yeah.
It's like my trainer wheel.
Yeah, no, that's so good.
Does that sound like a good trainer wheel, or is there a different training wheel you would recommend that's better in that moment to just...
Yeah, the first one I would do typically is I feel, except you need to actually feel. Again, I feel like you're being there's children here, mean. Jerk, thank you. It's not a feeling statement. But, and oftentimes too, people will be like, oh, my husband doesn't like feelings though. Now, I'm gonna be very honest with you here. What he doesn't like is the way you've been portraying and projecting your feelings onto him for the last couple of years. What he doesn't like is that when you say to him oh, I feel unloved, that's not a feeling statement. Isn't that weird? You can't feel unloved. You either are or aren't loved. So how does it feel when you think, or when it seems, I like that you're being unloved? It feels sad, devastated, maybe angry even. So get really clear on your feelings. And the very first thing you say to someone is say okay, hold up, I'm feeling confused right now. Just give me a second. Because the story I'm telling myself is you don't actually care about me. Now I know that's not true. That's the story I'm telling myself, but it's making me feel a lot of things right now. I'm feeling confused and angry and frustrated, and I don't know what to do about this. Can you help me with this? That's my favorite. If you guys want to hack, just write that down. With all husbands everywhere, just put that at the end of every sentence. Can you help me with this? I'm having really big feelings. Can you help me with this? And he's going to be like, oh, yes. They like to help, So we have these little things, but I love that. You can say it seems, the story I'm telling myself, I think, it feels, I feel, any of those. That's a beautiful, great question. Yes? Yes, absolutely. So love languages are so great. And love language are kind of like your needs. It's how you want to receive love. It's your needs buckets. And so your love languages, everyone here pretty familiar with love languages, words of affirmation, gifts, quality time, touch, and acts of service. Acts of service is a need. Touch is a need. That's all that is. Love languages are just 5 types of needs, but there's so many more. There's connection, there's communication, there's validation, there's vanity, there's beauty, there's creativity, there's nature, there's movement, there's adventure, there's novelty, there's travel. And each person has their own unique fingerprint of needs. Just like with love languages. That's why it was really cool. It was like a way for him to condense down this concept that now we're broadening and we're understanding even more. But we all each have like 6 essential needs. So we have our certainty and our uncertainty, our significance, our communication, all of that stuff. And so with that, we just want to get clear on that. So once you know what your love languages are and you can communicate that, then it's about meeting that on your own. So if you have a high love language for acts of service and touch, before we go to our husbands and ask, this is what I need and you have to fill all of this, 50% of the way first ourselves. Try to get 20 to 30 met from other people. Don't put it all on him. That's actually quite a lot. And plug those holes. How many times have we heard, and then we'll wrap up, how many times have we heard, you don't do anything for me? And he's like, are you kidding me? Do you know what I do for you? I fill up your gas tank, and I make sure the pipes are cleared, and I make sure that like the lights are getting changed, and we're not receiving that from him because we have holes in our buckets. So we want to plug those holes, meet it ourselves, get the rest, and then it's him. And that release of him not being the sole person to fill our buckets up will actually allow him more autonomy, more space, more love to be able to come in and be a part of your life. So great question. Thank you for that one. Is this a good place to wrap up, Kelly? Yeah. Yay! Thank you so much, everyone. It was such a pleasure.